What is up, YouTube? It's Psychedelic Scizor, and I am here with my draft analysis for the NPL Tryout Tournament. Yes, for some godforsaken reason, they actually thought that I might have a chance of making it into NPL, so you know what? We're going to go and run with it. It's actually a pretty big tournament. There's 48 players, I think? Yeah, three pools of 16. I can math. But yeah, so it was NPL style draft. I think they used slightly different points because they were a little outdated, the last set of points. But 115 points to draft 9 to 12 Mons, 25 point Z budget. And in this draft analysis, I'm mostly going to go over how the team synergizes and what each individual Mon kind of does for the team. Because honestly, at this point, anyone watching this video, they already know what Mons do. I don't need to baby them with that. So just going to see how it functions, and I'm not going to be the person to say that, oh, my draft is busted, this is the best I've ever drafted. Well, actually, I still might be one of my favorite teams I've ever drafted, and who knows, because it's tailored to my playstyle, it still may be the best team I've ever drafted. Not that that's saying much, because generally I think I've been mediocre at best at drafting. I kind of just make up for it with prep. But I did go into this draft knowing I wanted to draft more bulky offense to almost hyper offense because that's just what I'm more comfortable with. I've been trying to build bulky balance teams for the last almost a year, and I just have not had much success with them, even though I still stick with they're the best teams in format if used correctly, but they also require the highest skill level, and I don't know, it's just not really my play style. I play better with offense. So, a bit of rambling and backstory aside, I was the wheel in this draft, so obviously I got back-to-back picks. That was fantastic. If you've never had the wheel before, it is absolutely amazing. Minus the very first round because you can't get something super busted, but basically after that first round, you are at such an advantage being able to pair things up together. Decreases your chances of getting sniped. Well, I guess mathematically it doesn't because you have to wait more picks, even though you're making your picks back-to-back, but like, you can reasonably plan a little bit better, and you just don't have to have as many waiting periods, but I continued to ramble even though I said I was going to be done, so we're going to get into this. First off, our first wheel, we got Mega Diancie, Landorus Incarnate. Landorus Incarnate is Sheer Force, and that's busted, so neither of these mons should have made it to me at the wheel, but they both did, so I freaking took them. And at this point in the draft, mons like Jirachi, Mega Gallade were still around. There was at least one more mon that really should have gone first round was still around. I can't remember what it was. But I didn't skip over anything amazing. I considered Mega Gallade. I think Mega Diancie is on the same kind of tier as Mega Gallade. I think Mega Diancie has more defined checks. Because, you know, steel types obviously, but it also means that because it's got only one type of really good check, I can more abuse that. Because Mega Diancie obviously handled by steel types, Landorus Incarnate was picked up to basically destroy steel types and any steel types that are part flying type and being immune to earth power, well, rock stab, so that flying stabs to cancel out the flying typings that'll cancel out the steel typing, so it'll be a neutral hit from Diancie, so it's not a resist. Yeah, that was a dumb way of wording that. But Landorus Incarnate Mega Diancie, I think, was a super powerful core just on individual mons alone, but their synergy with being able to break for each other and Landorus being able to U-turn into Mega Diancie is just absolutely fantastic, and Landorus Incarnate is busted with Sheer Force, so instead of getting beaten down by one, why don't I just take it so nobody else can have it? That was kind of my whole thought process there. I absolutely love this core to death. That is the center of this team, and it's a really, really reliable core, I think. Also, I do like Magic Bounce on Mega Diancie. It's not nearly as oppressive in team prep as like a Mega Sableye with Magic Bounce, because Mega Diancie can't switch in as easily to block rocks, although it does have still respectable bulk, but it's just kind of nice, you know. We take it. So obviously it had to wait a while. It finally got back to me. my next wheel pairing was Roserade and Skarmory. Roserade was picked up for a couple specific reasons. I wanted Spikes and T-Spikes for sure, because Spikes with my previous 2 Mons is just incredible. Skarmory, same type of reason, but I'll get into that. And Roserade gives water types a huge problem, because water types can irritate Mega Diancie and Landorus. They can't always switch in. Some of them may be bulky enough to a little bit, but Roserade can, most water types it can switch in on and beat 1v1, set up spikes, or just straight up kill something, because it is a very powerful Mon. Great coverage. Because of Technician Hidden Power, it basically gets Flamethrower, Thunderbolt, Ice Beam, you know, it's great. It's awesome. And I still have good speed tiers at this point. I really like that. And so then getting into the Skarmory pick, Skarmory provides a lot of roll compression, and because I want to play offense, I don't want to draft a million walls. So since Skarmory can take on the vast majority of physical attackers, that is fantastic. Also, extremely reliable rocker, and takes Spike's pressure off of Roserade, so Roserade is more free to run offensive sets, so Skarmory can pick up the slack on Spikes. And at this point, my hazard game is incredibly strong. I've got 2 Spikers, a T-Spiker, 3 Stealth Rockers, and it's not just Mons like, oh, this happens to have Stealth Rock. Like a Terrakion, you're not really going to be setting rocks with all that often. It definitely has its matchups, don't get me wrong, but I think that's a very niche Stealth Rocker. I think Diancie, Landorus, and Skarmory all fit Roxanne extremely well, because they only have so many moves they really need. Like Diancie, you're usually running Dual Stab plus like HP Fire or Earth Power, and Landorus, you're running Earth Power like coverage move, U-turn, and yeah, Landorus, okay, is pretty variable, but basically they can run rocks, I think, really well, but still not forcing them into that is fantastic with Skarmory. And it's really not passive like people say it is. Like, passive is, they kind of just look at dealing no damage and they think, oh, Skarmory's passive. Well, I guess if you're looking at that definition, yes. But if you're talking about passive in a sense of being able to be taken advantage of, like a Mon that shirt sits there and takes hits, but it's not going to do anything back, and you can take advantage of that, Skarmory just isn't that. With Roar and Whirlwind, you can't set up on the thing. You can't even necessarily switch in on it for free, like, repeatedly, because Brave Bird is a strong stab. If you're, you know, neutral to it, it'll chip away a little bit. And just giving this thing free turns with switches, like to set up hazards, I mean, I don't feel like that's being taken advantage of. I think that's more to my advantage. I force the switch with Skarmory, get up my hazards, or deal a little chip. I think Skarmory, actually, for how defensive a Mon it is, I feel like it functions on stall and on offense. It's just on balance, which is a little too in the middle for it, that it's kind of iffy. But on offense, that roll compression, being able to, you know, just slap a Skarmory on there, boom, physical attackers are checked. That's fantastic. And Sturdy is always a nice ability. Weak Armor also has its uses. You know, who knows, maybe I'll run a Suicide Lead Skarmory. It's possible. I have no idea. I haven't started prepping for anything. So who knows? I'm talking all this good stuff about this team, and it may be hot garbage when I start prepping with it. But it is going to be some very fun flaming garbage, if it is. So, yeah, I've talked a lot about Skarmory. I did not expect that for such a straightforward Mon. Let me know what you guys think about Skarmory. That'll, I don't really do questions of the day, but that is the question of the day, even if it is the only day that I ask a question. What do you think about Skarmory? Is it hot garbage, or is it hot fire? Or is it just not warm? Why would a Skarmory be warm? It's plated in steel. That was some stupid stuff. Moving on. We waited, obviously, a while again, and our next wheel combination was Starmie and Haxorus. So, a couple things. Starmie, oh my god, that's terrible. Starmie is obviously a spinner for the team, because if I'm going to be hazard stacking like this, I don't want to defog everything away, although I have the defog option in Skarmory, which it's another good defogger, but we've moved on. Good spinner in Starmie, just that high speed at least usually meaning you can get an emergency spin-off if nothing else. Yeah, where was I going with this? Oh yeah, it's not the bulkiest of bulky waters. 60, 85, 85 is kind of mediocre bulk, but having extremely fast recovers along with a ton of resistances from its typing is really nice, and usually you're not going to have to sit in and recover, because a lot of times you're going to come in on something, outspeed it, and threaten to knock it out with your stabs or coverage. Two great abilities too. Natural Cure, so you can't get worn down by Toxic throughout the game, or Analytic. If it forces a switch and I don't spin and I attack you, you're gonna feel it. You're definitely gonna feel it. I am very sketchy about Starmie in the sense of I've only talked to one person about it, but that one person absolutely despised Starmie. That person may or may not have been Zeden, but then again, we also play very differently, so maybe I'll love Starmie. And so it's just got a lot of cool options, and it doesn't get Heal Bell, does it? It's just something I thought of. No, it doesn't get Heal Bell. I don't know why I thought it got Heal Bell, but tons of good coverage, has screen options. Reflect type is a really cool tech. I love that. I wish it was more widely distributed. It's a really cool move. But sure, it's got flaws. Mediocre bulk, mediocre special attack, but both of them are just good enough with its typing to function pretty well. And obviously Rapid Spin is such an invaluable move. I absolutely love it. So yeah, that is Starmie. It comes in, it spins, it does things, maybe a little bit of stuff along with that. And moving on to Haxorus. Haxorus, I also feel like, is very underrated, because it is one of many Dragon Dancers, along with like Salamence and Dragonite, and well, those are kind of the main ones, and depending on who you ask, it may be the worst of those Dragon Dancers, because Dragonite has multi-scale to take advantage of, and Mence just has the 100 base speed, which Haxorus falls just short of, along with the Flying Stab, and I definitely get that. But first off, Haxorus is priced accordingly, so this thing is super cheap for a mon that could be that threatening, and I got it round 6, so I got 147 base attack and 97 speed out of that. It is my first Z user, so I've used 12 of my 25 Z points, but Haxorus has so many options besides Dragon Dance, which I still think is a good set because of 147 base attack, good enough coverage, and Z moves. It's still a great set. And Unnerve to ignore berries, which is one of the biggest ways that you stop a sweeper sometimes. I think that's a really underrated ability as well. But it has other options besides Dragon Dance. Swords Dance is an amazing breaker set. Like, I don't need Haxorus to be super fast. I've got like Diancie and Starmie and kinda Landorus, but we'll keep going with that. I can have it as my physical breaker, especially because it's my only physical attacker on the team thus far. And it's even got, the ability to be fairly bulky. 76, 90, 70 bulk is decent on the physical side, mediocre on the special side, but pure dragon typing is actually a pretty good defensive typing, only being weak to, dragon, ice, and fairy. And with it being so fast as well, it's going to not take a hit, then respond back. It's usually going to be able to get a hit off, take the hit easily, and then, finish with a 2-hit KO. But just, I like the options that Haxorus has, stuff like Taunt as well, people forget about. It's a versatile mon. A lot of people just don't use it as versatilely. I really hope that's a word. We're going with it. And who knows? Again, people may be right, and I may think it's garbage, but it is also going to be fun, hot garbage. And moving on. Oh yeah, Mold Breaker. I at least needed to mention that. That's nice. I don't know why I felt like I needed to acknowledge that, but I did. Next, waited for the next wheel, and this wheel I feel like really, really glued my team together. Like, these are not the big top tier threats. They're actually the cheapest mons on my team. Like, besides my last round meme pick, sort of. Wasn't even a meme. We'll get to it. But these mons were really important to fill just defensive and typing roles on my team, just as pivots and defensive mons. So it was extremely important that I got them. I'm so happy that I did, because it is criminal how cheap this core was. We got Incineroar first, filled the fire and dark typing, which is amazingly helpful for fire types being something that can pressure my defensive mons so far with Roserade and Skarmory, and Starmie not being as bulky. I don't want it to be my sole fire resist. And I don't necessarily want to have to switch Haxorus and Diancie into stuff, so Incineroar covers fire types extremely well, and the dark typing, because my team doesn't have a dark resist outside of Mega Diancie, which, again, can switch in, but does it want to? I don't know if it does. It's a great pivot. It's pretty much omnipresent in VGC. I mean, obviously, if you have usage that's as high as Lando T in a metagame, you know you're an absolutely meta-defining mon. Now, this isn't VGC, but it's still got some great qualities. Intimidate obviously added a whole new aspect to Incineroar than just the Assault Vest user that it was in NU. 95, 90, 90 bulk is pretty good, especially when it's not just bulky. It actually has some attack to back it up. 115 base attack. Strong stabs. Knockoff is obviously great, and Flare Blitz is obviously very strong, and U-Turn. I love Intimidate, I love U-Turn when you put them in the same mon with bulky. I love it, I love it. Also, I haven't used it, so I may not actually love it, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna love it. And this is not my Z user, so I'm not gonna be able to use, what is its C move called again? I know that the signature move is Darkest Lariat, but forget the Z move. Doesn't matter because I'm not going to be using it anyway. But just, it's another mon that can come in, force something out, and, you know, gain some momentum with U-Turn. Good enough coverage to put on pressure. Good enough utility options to be a little unpredictable. And it's another random mon that gets Outrage. I just like pointing that out because I've noticed there are a lot of random mons that get Outrage. So that's Incineroar. Just important for filling typing and pivoting bulk roles on the team, which my bulk is still pretty lacking at this point. I just wish Incineroar got Pursuit. Like, that would be amazing if it got Pursuit, but it doesn't. So that is upsetting. But it still gets Stat Knockoff, which you at least need that. You don't need Pursuit. I don't think my team struggles that badly against Psychic or Ghost types to where I'd need that. So, yeah. And along with it, we got Piloswine, which I think at 6 points is definitely underpriced, so I definitely went for that. I definitely wanted a secondary ground type because Landorus should not be an electric switch in, and Roserade, again, I don't want to force to be defensive. And the thing that's fantastic about Piloswine is it forces the hidden power game between Landorus and Piloswine. Both will just straight up OHKO any electric type that they're facing if it's not able to one-hit KO it. And so HP Ice, which will one-hit KO Landorus, is not going to do jack shit to Piloswine because with Thick Fat it actually resists it. And if you're on HP Water, sure, you hit both of them, but first off, Piloswine is just a thick boy and it's going to eat it up. And second, that's only 2 times super effective on Landorus, and Landorus has enough bulk to live like a non-stab hidden power. I said that's weird that you would run stab hidden power, but hey, I've done it before. Yeah, it's got enough bulk, 89 HP, 80 defense. It's not going to die from just a stray HP Water. Like, you need HP Ice to one-hit KO Landorus most of the time. So forcing a hidden power game is going to be really nice. Yeah, Piloswine is just a beast, you know, for reasons besides that. Super bulky with the Eviolite, 100 base HP. And Thick Fat is a fantastic ability. And, oh, so is Oblivious. Not being able to be taunted, so free rocks gives me my 4th rocker. yeah, my 4th rocker. Ice Shard is super nice, and similar to my thought process of drafting Landorus, since I don't want anyone to use it against me, I draft Piloswine, so I have the stab Ice Shard, not somebody else. Now, again, I still may face it because there's 2 more pools that also may have drafted Piloswine, but it's 1 less Ice Shard user that I potentially have to face. But it's basically baby Mamoswine. It still does everything Mamoswine does. It's not nearly the breaker that Mamoswine is, but it's a hell of a better defensive mon. It's just got the same great qualities. I really love me some Piloswine. It's been a hot minute since I've used it. And looking through its moves, it also gets Light Screen for some reason. And Reflect. What the hell? Since when can Piloswine learn screens? Okay, that is noted. That is definitely noted. I'll take that. Okay, that just doesn't seem right. Like, why should this little furry pig thing be able to set up psychic screens? Hey, we take it. We take that. So that's Piloswine. Just such an important Glumon to the team. Only real weaknesses being like grass and fighting, I believe, are it, because ice is, resisted by the ice typing. Oh yeah, and like steel and fighting. Yeah, like steel, fighting, grass, and water, which I feel like are all types that are actually handled by this team pretty well. Yeah, I am not going to get too much into it, because 1, I don't know what I'm talking about, 2, I don't want to give my opponents an idea, even if I did know what I was talking about. So, Piloswine, good mon. Moving on. Waited a while again, and so for a final real pick, because after these 2, I just had a 1-point pick, so it's barely a mon, but... So for the last mons that are actually going to do something, we picked up Magneton. Gives me an electric type that I did not have. It's not 100% necessary that you have an electric type, but like, there better be a good reason for you not getting one. Like, you better really pressure, grass type, or not grass types, what am I talking about? Like, water types and flying types and stuff like that to not draft an electric. Does give me a bird resist besides Skarmory. A little more Spadef than Skarmory as a steel type because of the Eviolite, so it's able to switch into those better. Gives me another electric resist, so that hidden power situation that I was saying with Landorus and Piloswine, even worse now that Magneton is here. So now you really can't, deal with me very well with electric types. Also, Magneton, besides being pretty strong, even though it's a middle evolution, 120 base special attack, being already pretty strong and a good defensive mon, well, not defensive straight up, but a nice pivoting mon, obviously pairs extremely well with Diancie, because of its ability to trap steel types, and it is my 2nd Z user, so it is 9 points. I've used up 21 of my Z points, I believe. It doesn't really matter. It's my 2nd Z user, so being able to fire off Z moves is gonna just add to the breaking power that this thing has. And Magnet Pulls, obviously, it's, calling card, but its other 2 abilities definitely have uses too. Sturdy, obviously, to, at least live 1 hit. It's niche, but usable. And Analytic is also super nice. If I'm facing a super fast team and Magneton can pivot in well, Analytic is super nice. It gives you basically a free life orb if you move 2nd. I talked about it with Starmie, but this is even more likely with Magneton because it's not nearly as fast. I did go with Magneton over Magnezone, 1 for point's sake, so that my next pick could be afforded. But also, I like the extra 10 points of speed on Magneton, just because it gives it a lot better of a Scarf option. The difference between base 70 and base 60 Scarfer is actually pretty big as far as what you can outspeed. And also being able to be bulky with a Violite without being locked into Assault Vest, meaning I can still use some utility moves. I still like Magneton. I think it does its job pretty much as well as Magnezone. It just is better at certain things and worse at others. Yes, that's Magneton, and its pair on the wheel was Beware. Now, originally, I was going to get Passimian, because I was thinking, more momentum, still a bulky fighting type, But Zeden, who was helping me out with the draft, actually suggested that I get Beware instead, and I had to skip, like getting a 3-point mon at the end and get a 1 point instead, or something along those lines. But it was definitely worth it, because Beware is, now that I'm looking at it, an absolute beast on the physical side. 120 HP and 80 defense is already pretty good as is, and then when you factor in Fluffy, that it takes half damage from contact moves, while just adding weakness to fire, which again, I think my team handles fire types fairly well. It's gonna be a freaking issue to kill with certain mons. It basically eliminates the fighting weakness, because every fighting move besides Focus Blast makes contact. And it just eats hits. It's so bulky, and on top of that, it is so strong. Base 125 attack is already impressive enough. Got powerful stabs between, it doesn't get close combat, does it? I think it has to use, like, Hammer Arm, right? Yeah, no close combat, so it has to use, like, Hammer Arm or Superpower, but still, that is going to absolutely hurt coming off of Beware, and being able to switch in multiple times is super nice. Great coverage. Other surprising utility options, which I will not reveal, mostly because I don't know them off the top of my head. I just know he has them, but I'm bluffing, you see? You think I'm smart. And yeah, it's slow, but I have a lot of fast mons on my team, so I think that's fine. I'm very okay with that. And it's a thick boy, it's a strong boy, and it's pink. Didn't have pink on the team besides Diancie. I need a little more pink. And that was really stupid. I've been stupid this draft analysis, but it's been one of the more fun recordings I've had in a while, so that's awesome, honestly. I'm really enjoying myself. Now, people having to listen to this rambling may not, but oh well, it's already done. So my final 1 point pick, which is actually somewhat of a usable mon for 1 point, is Gotharita. Just baby Gothitelle. Not baby Gothitelle, but, angsty teenage Gothitelle. You know what it does. It traps mons with Shadow Tag, which could be useful for this team, because since it's an offensive team, if my opponent has something just super bulky that, I can't break, having Gotharita be able to come in and just win versus it would be really nice. Or win versus it, just beat it. That was dumb. Yeah, 3 great abilities. Obviously, Shadow Tag you're going to be using, 99% of the time, but it's cool to at least acknowledge Frisk, kind of a useful ability, and Competitive is a really good ability that I wish was more widely distributed, but at least Wigglytuff gets it, and Wigglytuff is the GOAT fairy type. I don't know why I didn't get Wigglytuff. I could have. I seriously considered it, but I figured Gotharita, has some actual use, potentially, and at least forces some prep from a 1-pointer, unlike almost every other 1-pointer, to be honest. And its bulk is pretty good when you add the Eviolite on. So, no complaints here. I think it should have been at least 2 points, because it's actually usable, but, you know what, I'm not complaining, I got it. So, that is your Oakland Azelfs for the NPL Tryout Tournament. Let me know what you think of this team. Let me know what you think of this video. Am I an annoying piece of shit yet? If so, I'm still going to ask you to watch my next videos anyway, despite you feeling that way. So please watch my videos. Please enjoy them. And, yeah, I think I'm going to get out of here. And if you guys like what the Oakland Azelfs are doing, make sure you like, subscribe, share, do what you do with the YouTube videos. I will see you guys in the next one.